With that down, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. And our fourth main topic today gets sent in to us by Greg T, who writes, I'm not what you'd call a big Star Trek fan or anything, but I've enjoyed the various stuff well enough, and I don't mind the current Discovery show. But wow, I loved Picard Episode 1. Just wondering if you've had a chance to see it yet or not, and what did you think about it? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, obviously I sat down and watched Picard. Now look, I am not nearly as much of a Star Trek fan as I'm more of a Star Wars guy, but I grew up watching Star Trek The Next Generation. My mom was a big fan of the original Star Trek series, so I grew up watching reruns of that as well. I really enjoy the Star Trek stuff. I really do. And I'm actually a big fan of Discovery. I actually really, really enjoy Discovery. So when they announced that they were bringing back Picard with Patrick Stewart, I was kind of excited about it. The first episode play, I had no idea what to expect. None. Zero idea what to expect from this show. I'll tell you what, I loved this episode. And I'm hearing some things, I'm hearing a lot of people loved it. Some people are a little bit mixed on it, I get. But to me, what they seemed to be going for was, everybody knows Jean-Luc Picard from Next Generation. Give it the DNA of a story from Next Generation. Give it the DNA of the TV show. And I felt watching this, and I mean this in all the best way, I felt like I was watching, it's almost like I watched All Good Things, the name of the final episode of Star Trek The Next Generation 20 years ago. I felt like just last week I watched All Good Things, and then this week I turned on the next episode, and it felt like it had that energy. It had that DNA. It felt like a story that you would tell in an episode of Next Generation, only obviously with much better visual effects. And I mean, listen, Patrick Stewart still carries all of the, I'll use a word that I hate, but gravitas. He still carries all that gravitas as Picard. It's really interesting to see and hear where he is right now and all this kind of stuff. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to jump up and down and say, I liked it more than Witcher or Mandalorian. I'm not saying that. But considering this is a show that really could have gone either way in many different ways, I thought this was pretty good. And I like the dog too. I thought the dog was great. But anyway, I really thoroughly enjoyed the show. And all you can ask from a premiere is, did it make you look forward to watching the next episode? And I can't speak for anybody else, but for myself, I watched this thing, I'm like, damn, this is really good. I dug it, and I cannot wait to see the next episode. Aaron, I don't know if you or Tom had a chance to watch this. I don't know. I know Tom's a big geek, but I'm not sure if he's geek. If his geekdom kind of overflows into the Star Trek universe as well. But have you seen it? If not, what have you been thinking about it? What have you thought about the looks of it?
We haven't seen it yet, and yes, Tom is a big old nerd, but he's more like you. He's definitely more Star Wars. But we are looking for a weekly. Now that Mandalorian is finished with its first season, as we anxiously await season 2, we do need something to have as our weekly show, and I think it's going to be Picard. Your endorsement rings for me, so I will watch it. What I love is, what you're saying about the DNA of Next Generation, and I think that this might be, something that we see, just like we saw Joker as a offshoot of the Batman world and become its own living, breathing entity. And now we're seeing Picard as an offshoot of the Star Trek world being its own living, breathing thing. Maybe Denis Villeneuve,
Villanueva.
Denis Villeneuve. Can take something from that as well. And I think that we're going to be seeing, with the success of Joker and with the impending success of Picard, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, where it's not necessarily sequels or reboots, but hey, let's take one element of this beloved world and tell a new story so that people still feel the familiar, but they get a deeper dive into characters. I would be more open to that than I would be to sequels and reboots.
And I got to tell you, some people were a little bit iffy on when, like the opening scene, no spoilers, because this is the opening shot of the episode. The opening shot of the episode is tremendous. It's Picard and Commander Data sitting down playing, I believe they were playing a game. No, they were playing cards. Sitting down playing cards. And it was just so cool. And listen, all the makeup in the world wasn't doing a great job of showing behind the makeup that Brent Spinner has aged, just like all of us have aged. So he didn't look the same age under the makeup. But still, seeing Commander Data and Picard sitting there
Our
talking
beloved
to each other.
characters.
Oh my God, it was so nostalgic. It
Let
felt
me
so
ask
cool.
you this. I see that there are going to be a lot of Easter eggs scattered throughout the series, as there should be. For someone who is not a Star Trek fan, which is not me, because, I don't know if you know this, my first television role was prostitute number 1 in Star Trek Enterprise.
That's right. I
the
forgot
Carpenter
about that.
Street episode. Thank you, Brandon Braga. For people who are not Star Trek fans and are not familiar with the universe and don't even know who Data is, will they enjoy this?
That's a great question. That's a great question because, I compare this to The Gentleman. Because,
okay.
I was talking to some friends and I'm like, look, I loved The Gentleman. I love this movie. But if you're somebody who didn't enjoy Snatch or didn't enjoy Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and stuff like that, I don't know that it's going to be for you. And as somebody who does love those movies, it's difficult for me to put myself into the mindset of somebody who doesn't and then look at The Gentleman and say, would I still have liked it? It's really hard for me to say. I feel the same way about Picard because I do know all of The Next Generation. I did watch all those shows. I grew up watching those. So it's difficult
you get a
for me to
sense
say.
of nostalgia in addition to just enjoying the story.
Well, it's not just nostalgia. It's having that pre-existing, I already know this character. I know Jean-Luc Picard. And all these things about him. But I know because it's like this
familiarity.
Nostalgia is like seeing Data pop up, nostalgia.
Okay.
But seeing Picard, he can say lines in this movie that will have extra weight for me because I already know this person. I know this character.
Got it.
So they were able
You're not discovering him.
Yes, they don't have to introduce him again. You know what I mean?
Okay,
so
I understand.
I'm not saying somebody who wasn't familiar with The Next Generation can't enjoy Picard. I'm just saying I don't know because I can't put myself in those shoes.
Well, probably
It's
in the same way that
question.
someone who is meeting Chewbacca for the first time doesn't go like that when he comes on screen because they don't have that childlike wonder of him being a beloved character in the original films.
So I don't know. Question is, guys, have any of you guys had a chance to watch Picard yet? I really enjoyed it. Maybe some of you liked it. Maybe some of you didn't like it. Maybe some of you loved it. Whatever. What do you think about Aaron's question, which is really interesting? If you're somebody who wasn't familiar with Next Generation, is it still something you would enjoy? I think it's an interesting question. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right.